Here is my Icom 7300. I'll just turn the volume down there. It's all 40 meters monitoring there. I guess the WAB net. Now, if you saw my earlier video, you'll know I bought this 7300 recently. The price of these radios has been reduced because the Mark II version is coming out soon. But I wanted one of these, and I wanted to compare it to my Yaesu FT710, which I've got next to it there, just out of shot. But when I was looking at the 7300, I thought, I wonder, is this going to be easier to remotely control than the Yaesu FT710 was? The FT710 needs a separate Yaesu interface box, which isn't cheap. What would the 7300 need if I want to remote into the radio? Quite often I'm away from the shack. I've just got my laptop or other PC with me. I can remote into some of my receivers here, and I've shown you that in previous videos, but I thought it'd be really nice to be able to remote in to a transceiver and be able to transmit on the amateur bands, you know, particularly when the conditions are good. So let's have a look what I need to do this with the 7300. So this is the default position, really, if you want to remotely control your Icom 7300. You can see there's a package here, 282 UK pounds. And for that you get the software, which I think is the RSBA1 they're referring to here. That's the software package, okay. And the RC28, which is this USB lead and the sort of controller. You've got a tuning wheel here. Got a couple of buttons, I guess. I guess they're up-down buttons or whatever, and a PTT button. So £282. I think you can buy the software package on its own for about 90 UK pounds. So that's maybe a better option. Let me show you an easy way to remote your Icom 7300. So this is a piece of software called WF-View. And if you were wondering why I picked on my Icom for remote controlling rather than the Yaesu FT710, this is why, okay? Because this piece of software at the moment has been designed to control modern Icom and modern Kenwood radios, okay? Not Yaesu. I think they may be working on a Yaesu version. I don't know that though. But WF-View definitely works with the Icom 7300. So we've got the website here, and I'll leave a link to this in the description for you. It's a very informative website. You've got screenshots and information all about the project. You can see here it's as of December 2024. This software is suitable for these radios. So we've got the 705 Icom, the 905, the 7300, which obviously is what I've got here. 7610, the 7760, the R8600 receiver, the 7850, 7851 Icom, the 9700, and the two Kenwoods. You've got the TS890S and the 590SG. And there's also some older radios which will work with the software there, including the Icom 706, but I think it may be a little bit more difficult to set up, and they won't have all of the facilities that the more modern stuff does, because as you'll see later with WF-View, you've got a spectrum display and the waterfall, that, you know, a version of that you would see on the radio itself, and you're able to control most, if not all, of the features of the radio remotely using the software. So you've got a free download there for Windows, okay, and a little bit more information on the program itself. And again, there's quite a comprehensive user manual on the website, okay, which tells you how to set up the various settings within the software, how to control the various windows, even things like how to input frequencies, setting up virtual serial ports, and most importantly for me was the concept of remote operation. Okay, so all I need here in the shack to remotely connect to my 7300 is obviously the 7300 itself switched on, powered up, or when I say powered up, it needs to be attached to a power supply, which is powered up, but you can actually switch the radio on and off using this software. You're going to need a server. Now, that means leaving a PC on in the shack. You can actually use a Raspberry Pi if you want to run the server side of it. But I quite often leave a PC on in the shack anyway because it controls some of my remote receivers and so on. So that's not an issue for me. So I'm using a PC. That PC is connected to the 7300. And then, as you can see on this diagram, I can then control the 7300 from a laptop or other PC. All I need is a microphone, basically a headset, if you like, plugged into the computer at the remote end, and I can control my 7300. So let me show you WF View in use so you can get an idea of how it looks. So here we are with WF View, and hopefully you can see the 7300 itself. Now I'm looking at the 7300 on a remote computer. I'm still on my own network at home, but it would be just the same as if I were operating fully remotely. So I can vary the frequency of the 7300. I'll just click on the bands dialog there, and for instance I can go to 20 meters, and you see the 7300 goes up to 20 meters. I just close that, and I can scan up through the bands. You'll see the waterfall will change as I do. 14200, there was somebody tuning there. There's something around there, isn't it? You can tune up and down. I can also click and move frequency that way on the waterfall. So I've got all of the controls on WF View that you'd really have if you were sat in front of the transceiver. So we've got an RF gain control here. You can move that up and down, and you can see the difference that makes. We've got AF gain, which obviously controls the AF at the remote end. Doesn't affect the AF gain in the shack. Okay. So let's turn that down. Got squelch. We've got transmit power, RF out. We've got mic gain control here. Okay. It says USB because, of course, the audio is going in through the USB port of the 7300 in the shack. But we can vary the mic gain that way. We've got a radio monitor control there. We can switch the preamps either off. Preamp 1, preamp 2, and you'll see that reflected on the radio. It's a little bit. Let's just tune that station in, shall we? There you are. Okay, so we can do all of that. We put it back on preamp 1 and normally where I leave it. Switching the attenuator, but we've got the RF gain there as well. I'll just go up a few KCs. Now, this radio is on a 40-80 meter dipole, which works very well, but it'll also tune on most of the other bands. It won't tune on 160, which is not surprising, and it won't tune on 60 meters, but the other bands it will tune on. Let's just press the tune button. See the radio's tuned it. Okay, straight away. We can hit the TX button, puts the radio into transmit mode, as you can see on the screen. All right, but I haven't got a microphone connected to this particular PC. I'll show you my my remote setup towards the end of this video. So we can't actually drive the radio from this one. This was just for sort of demonstration purposes. We can control the memories of the radio. Okay, we can control our frequency steps there. We've got modes, the filters. Switch that to filter 1. Okay, we can go back to 40 meters, like that, and see what's around. Someone on 7140 there. Okay, so, and we can click around on the waterfall, as I've said, and tune the radio that way. And, you know, it works very well. So you can do everything. Now, is it perfect? Absolutely not. I've had one or two glitches with the audio, but I've had several, probably about a dozen successful contacts remotely on 40 meters now. And in most cases, there's been no comments on the audio being anything out of the ordinary. One or two I've had, they've said at the start of the contact, the audio was a bit stuttery. That could be down to the internet speed. The internet speed here in my location in the shack is a maximum of 60 megabits. That's 60 download. It's about maximum of about 10 upload. The remote location's a lot faster. It could be that. I mean, it could be the software. I don't know. But it does work, and it's cost me nothing to do this. I can remote into my radio on any band that, you know, the antenna will tune on. I can listen around, and most importantly of all, I can transmit and make those contacts. I'll just show you the settings screen on this remote software. Okay, so I just go to settings there, and we need to disconnect from the radio. And you've got various settings. Some of these are you know, that's my connection into my radio. I've got a no IP port forwarding address there. Okay, we've got the user interface where we can affect what appears on our remote screen. Okay, in terms of the colors of the waterfall and the spectrum display and so on. We've got a couple of radio settings that you you might need to change dependent on your setup. We've got the server tab, which is only going to be really active and applicable at the end where the radio is. We're at the remote end at the moment, so that's why it's all blank. External control. I'll show you a little controller that I use, which helps my remote operation. We've got a DX cluster tab, which I haven't really looked at too closely, and an experimental tab. Now, there's no need for me to show you how to set all of this up, because if you're interested, then the website has a very useful, very detailed user manual, how to get started, how to alter all of these settings that I've just shown you, what they all mean. It's all laid out in great detail for you. Okay, and things about audio configuration. Okay, appearance, customizing the appearance, keyboard shortcuts, various settings. So do take the time to have a look at the WF website. They're obviously looking at, for the future, maybe supporting Yaesu and Flex radios. At the moment, as we've said, it's Icom and Kenwood. That's why I've gone for my 7300 to use. And yeah, I'm very, very pleased with it so far. Okay, so here we go. This is my actual kind of remote setup here. You can see it's pretty simple stuff. Just got a laptop here, and we're running WF. Okay, in order to get some audio into the system so I can transmit, I'm using a gaming headset like this. This is a Stealth branded, I think it's a Panther Stealth or something, Stealth branded headset. Okay, this wasn't expensive. This was on sale in my local Argos store, and I think I paid something like 13 UK pounds. It was half price. The right price was about £26. Okay, now what I found, this incidentally has a 3.5mm connector like this. Okay, I already had a couple of USB headsets that I used for work, for Teams calls and things, but they didn't produce enough audio to drive this system. When you use a USB headset, for whatever reason, there aren't the same level of audio controls that you have with these type of headsets with the 3.5 jack. Maybe this is why the gamers generally use these. Okay, so that's what I use. So there, that was £13. Okay, and do you remember when we looked at the Icom, the proper Icom setup for remoting? We had a little unit that had a tuning wheel and some buttons on it. Well, I also use this. I'll plug this in a moment and show you. This is a Shuttle Express. It's like, I think they use it for video editing and stuff. I'm not sure if you can still buy these. I've had this a number of years. I use it with some of my SDRs. It mimics a tuning knob. Okay, you also have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons around the edge, programmable buttons. Okay, you can program this up to use with WF-View. I'll just plug it in. I'll probably have to disconnect from the radio. Okay, I've had to restart the program. I've plugged this in. I'll just bring it back up to full screen. Get rid of that. There's some Windows annoying. Right, there you go. And you can see now, hopefully, alright, as I turn the knob here, alright, I'm tuning up for the band. There's an outer ring to this knob, and you can fast tune using that, kind of like a spring-loaded outer ring. So it gives you that kind of feeling of tuning through the bands. I've got this knob programmed as a PTT. If I quickly press that, you can see it's the radio into transmit. Okay, and then I've got band change on another button here. I can go up and I can go down through the bands, and then again just tune with my tuning knob. So that's what I'm using. This wasn't particularly expensive, this Shuttle Express thing. I've had it a number of years. I'm sure there's something similar on the market today. I'll take a look for you, and I'll put it in this video if I can find something. Okay, it's likely to be a lot cheaper than buying the Icom unit. Software's free, yeah, and you know, £25 if you pay the right price for basic gaming headset. I've had good audio reports with this, by the way, and it's quite comfortable to wear. And if you're into gaming, you can use it for that as well. So that is my remote Icom setup. I hope you found it interesting. You can do it with a Kenwood radio as well. And if they bring up, or bring out rather, a update that will enable it to be used with the ISO, I'll show it with my FT710 if I can as well, and we'll see how well that works. Okay, thank you for watching.